sure that Kyler Murray is big enough. This is Tom Brady. He's not just going to retire. Whitey, big fan of the show. Appreciate you, Brian Murphy, to my left, making sure everything's smooth, crispy, buttery. James Harden is systematically ruining the game of basketball. The most overrated player. And there you are, the Chicago Bears with a championship defense. And I'm sure Dancing with the Stars is happy to have Antonio back. If you thought you were going to get Zion, that's your bad.
Now listening to Open Season, your host, Billy Allen.
Good evening. Welcome. It's Open Season. I'm your host, Billy Allen, sitting here as always with Frankie Bradica. Man, it has been a hell of a first 2 weeks in the NFL. We're asking ourselves tonight, can anybody stop the Bills? The Bengals are 0-2. The Giants are 2-0. It's Tua time in Miami. Is it? I mean, he just threw for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns if you missed it. The Bucs signed Cole Beasley to the practice squad, and Tom Brady is spiking tablets. That's nothing new. And Trey Lance was hurt, I would say on purpose. And Jimmy G is back in the 49ers. Carson Wentz is going off. They're opening up the offense over there. The Patriots, God, they don't look so good. Mac Jones looks pretty pedestrian. But they did get a win. And you could still get wins in the NFL these days by running and grinding it out. But not a whole lot. As we start out talking a little bit about the Patriots game against the Steelers. Patriots grinding that one out in an absolute slog to a 17-14 win. Obviously, you saw Mac Jones hook up with Nelson Aguilar for a 44-yard touchdown, which in that ball was not thrown well. Let's just be honest. But Frankie, as we put that game in the rearview mirror, any takeaways about the Patriots offense, about what they did against the Steelers? I mean, they finally had a somewhat decent game, get a win. I wasn't very encouraged about it, but is there anything positive you're taking away from that win?
The offensive line looked better. We'll take it. That game told me a lot more about the Steelers. Steelers are very bad. Both of their lines of scrimmage are less than pedestrian. Their offensive line in particular is horrid. So it didn't tell me a lot about the Patriots. I mean, we won a very ugly, poorly played game on both ends. So it is what it is. I mean, Mac Jones is bang average. I've said it since day one. He's not going to win very many games for you. But this year, he might be starting to lose some. His decision-making has not been as advertised. He's not a wunderkid. He's just a regular quarterback. He's just a guy.
He is just a guy, and I feel like the Patriots are taking away probably his best strength, which is maybe making quick decisions. Like you said, he hasn't been making the best decisions so far this year, but that's kind of been what people have said his strength has been in the past. And now that everything is so scripted that he's not really being able to make these reads at the line and changing things, like they're kind of making one play and going with it. It's a very like plodding offense. I feel like they've kind of taken away some of his strengths. And, you know, you wonder if Mac Jones is the guy. You're a couple games into year 2. Belichick doesn't have a whole lot of time left. And, you know, there's got to be some urgency there. Do you think that there's any thought within the Patriots organization that Mac Jones isn't the guy?
No. I think Mac Jones is exactly what Bill wants. And I think he can sell him to Kraft. Bill's coaching like he's got 5-6 years left. I mean, realistically, he's coaching like he's got another 5 left.
Yeah, and there were reports, I think, that, you know, I think that's really why McDaniels was so willing to leave, because I think Belichick kind of made it clear that he did have another 5 or 6 years. I mean, that's hard to picture him coaching the 76, though. I mean, right? But I guess if Saban's going to hang around till 79, you know, I get that college isn't going to be the same grind that the NFL is, but you assume that Belichick could hang around. Huh?
Kraft better not give him that leash. He hasn't been good enough to coach until he's 76. I can see an egomaniac staying for outstaying their welcome. As an owner, you can't let that happen.
I mean, hasn't Kraft kind of made his bed with him at this point? We've discussed it. He's not going to let go of both Brady and Belichick. So at this point, you've sold your soul to the devil if you're Robert Kraft, and you've got to deal with as many years as Bill Belichick wants to coach.
No, you've just got to have the balls to let it go. You got to let him go.
What are you going to do? Fire him for Matt Patricia? Or
if it stays like this? No, just hire one of these nerdy Sean McVay disciples, because that's what half of the league is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Patriots just not looking like they have I mean, I just feel like I feel like Mac Jones may have. I mean, did Mac Jones look better in the win or the loss? I mean, I just can't even tell. Did he have a better game this week? I feel like he got very, very lucky on that Nelson Aguilar ball. I mean, I feel like 9 times out of 10, that's an interception, and probably not a play that Nelson Aguilar is making.
The Pats got lucky in a number of ways, including their muffed punt return.
How about the first play of the game?
There was no need to try and field that. Zero need to try and field that. I can't believe that happened to a Belichick coach team. Like all the things that we have touted him for 20 years seem to have left the same time Tom did. And that hurts me.
Why you would try to catch that ball? You're running backwards. It's over your head. I mean, that was really, really bad.
The risk reward factor on that is like 0. I can't believe that's how that happened.
Like, wouldn't you just dive out of the way at that point? I just don't even get it.
Put your foot on the 9-yard line, and anything over your head is over your head. It's like it's a rule. It's a rule of Pop Warner. I cannot believe.
Well, I think this is part of the problem, Frank, is that, you know, for so many years the Patriots haven't made the mental mistakes. They've had like all these victories, so it's like they really just don't have a lot of the elements of the quote unquote Patriot way left. I mean, you're seeing them with. I mean, you had Brady all these years. You could cover up some of those mistakes. Now you're having a team that's not playing mistake-free football. They don't have the veteran leadership. They don't have Brady to cover up the mistakes. So, I mean, you're left with something that is to be desired.
Yeah, and it wasn't hard to foresee this. They were bad in the summer. They weren't great last year, and they're pretty bad right now. So
they've been consistent and very predictable, just as their offense.
Precisely, very vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and you start to rank the quarterbacks in the division. Is Mac Jones the worst quarterback in this division?
By a mile.
I mean, that's what I'm starting to think. I feel like you hear a lot of people say, okay, what if he had Tua's weapons? What if he was in the game that Tua was this week? I mean, Mac Jones is not coming back in a game where he's down by 21 points. Mac Jones can't even bring us back from a game where they're down by 10 points. I mean, with how slow and plotting this offense is, with trying to run the ball and win by defense. I mean, if this is their formula to win, maybe they won this game against the Steelers because they created all kinds of different mistakes. They have Mitch Trubisky at the quarterback, but this isn't scalable. You can't win these types of games. You're not going to be winning 17-14 games in this AFC. You're going to be winning games 35-31. I mean, I don't see this as something that you can take forward into the season and think that you're going to have any type of success with. This was just one case where you won with running on defense, but you're not going to be able to get away with this, at least not in my mind.
The Patriots have been arguably the slowest roster in the NFL for the last half decade. And when they had Tom, it kind of worked. But this is a different NFL. The age of the super freak athlete is upon us, and the Patriots have none.
Yeah, it's funny watching that Ravens game. You've got all those like speedster. You're like, nobody on the Patriots could get down the field that fast. Who are those receivers they got? They're escaping my name, but somebody it was Duvernay who he took back a kick return
Duvernay's been fast. Crochet is fast. Rashad Bateman's fast.
Rashad Bateman. That little, like, what was that? Like a quick post or like a quick slant that he just took like 75. That was so cool to see. I mean, you don't see those things get taken for a touchdown very, very often. It was just damn, that was a real track meet.
Yeah, there's about a dozen guys in the league that can do it. And surprised the Chiefs have like 3 of them and the Rams have 2 of them, you know what I mean? I mean, but the Patriots definitively have none of them, and that's been a constant theme for many years. It's just finally catching up with us.
Nick Smith says Big Blue baby. Is he a Giants fan? Can't be.
Absolutely. He is, yes.
Oh,
I don't know why you'd want to brag about a 19-16 win over the Panthers. I mean, over Baker Mayfield of all people. But, I mean, they're 2-0. Good for them. Leading the division.
Yeah. I mean, I got to say, I like Brian Daboll. That's good hiring.
I'm not sold on Daboll, but the league is better when teams like the Raiders and the Giants are good. So I would like them to be good. I don't have a lot of faith in their coach or quarterback. So
do we see the Patriots getting back to the playoffs anytime soon?
No.
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots are far away right now, I would say. They've got to do something drastic, and this is a team that doesn't do things that are drastic. I mean, it's like they're plodding along like they have another 10 years to be good. It's maddening.
We spent $150 million last offseason on no playmakers. We have $25 million a year tied up in tight ends, and Janu Smith can't figure out how to play offense. And Hunter Henry, we just refuse to put him on the field in certain situations. It's bad.
Oh, God. How about that decision by Mac to throw that ball to Janu Smith where he was like double covered behind the line of scrimmage, just getting blown up instantly? I mean, anytime you throw to Janu Smith, that's just a loss. Like, there should be no throws going in that direction. It's the same thing with Devontae Parker. I mean, he is N'Keal Harry 2.0. It's
Don't do him like that. That's a man that had 1,200 yards one year. Don't do him like that.
He is slow. I didn't see him get a foot of separation all day.
He's been injured for many years. He's not the player he was, but don't ever do him like N'Keal Harry. He had a year that N'Keal Harry didn't have in college.
That is true, and obviously I'm not saying that anybody is quite as bad as N'Keal Harry, but you see what I'm saying, where it's like he was not – I mean, he just keeps running down the field. It's like I feel like every ball with him is going to be a 50-50 ball. I mean, there's not going to be anything where – I mean, he says he's good at 50-50 balls. It's because he has to be. I mean, he's never open enough to where it's not a 50-50 ball.
Well, he's also tall enough. I mean, he's a good athlete, or he was a good athlete.
I guess just so far I'm a bit underwhelmed by him. Like, you kind of heard he's the big receiver this year and, was doing well in training camp. But, I mean, it's obviously Aguilar by far who's got the best chemistry with. And he looks good, honestly. He looks faster this year. Or it's like, he's fitting in better with the offense. He's getting open. He looks fast out there.
He looks fast because he's playing with not fast guys. It's a matter of like,
yeah. The next playmaker runs like a 4.8 on that team. So he's just.
Yeah, it's the old Family Guy thing. Hey, Meg, did you get less ugly? You know what I mean? You just go surround yourself with a worse cast, and you are better by context.
Yeah. Well, let's move on a little bit to, obviously the Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year. They're kind of like a Super Bowl darling. They won a few games the year before and really turned it out last year. People thought, are they going to have a Super Bowl hangover or whatever? And I definitely didn't expect them getting out to an 0-2 start that included this loss this weekend to the Cowboys. I mean, I didn't think there was any chance they were going to lose that game. I thought they were going to blow the Cowboys off the planet. So I'm a bit surprised that they're sitting here 0-2. That offensive line is really bad. They need to do something about it. You think the Bengals are going to compete in the AFC North this year? Do you think that this is going to be an off year for them? What do you have in mind for the Bengals the rest of the way?
I think they'll be fine. This is concerning, make no mistake about it. They're going to struggle against good teams because of that offensive line. It's what made the playoff run so special because it felt like they arrived early, even though they're for sure on the come up. My concern for the Bengals is that these are two opponents that you shouldn't have lost to, in the Steelers and the Giants. I'm okay with you know what I mean. I don't expect them to win 12 games. 11, 10, 9 games is what I expect, with the opportunity to win in the playoffs, upset somebody on the road. But these two games you needed to have. When the schedule came out, Cincinnati had to have pegged these as wins. So now they have to really figure out what they're going to do moving forward.
And I mean, think about what these two games are going to do for the playoff picture. I mean, you talk about these games not meaning something now. Like, you're going to look at the end of the year and be like, if they had 2 more victories, where would they be? This is probably going to, and this is going to pile up at the end of the year.
These are big losses. And again, I said I think they'll be fine. They've got too much talent not to be. I mean, Chase and Higgins and Boyd and Mixon and Lions and Tigers and Bears. I mean, they're good. They're going to be fine. But these are going to have them games early on in the year, and they did not have them.
Now let's see. Where was I going to go with that? Well, who the heck knows? Let's get into the Bucks and Saints. So I mean, obviously Brady, really the only one team that he's had trouble against during his time with the Buccaneers really has been the Saints. And so even going through a few quarters in this game, I mean, through half, I think, what was it? I mean, it was like a 3-3, 10-10 game. I mean, it was a close game until the end of that third quarter. Brady had an incredible throw to the back of the end zone for a touchdown. What was it? It was the running back or something that got out for, I forget that guy's name, but I mean, Brady can just still, it's like they said that Brady now isn't doing any Wednesday practices either. So after a Sunday game now, he's got 3 days off until, so it's like, but I mean, you can have 3 days off when you're still throwing the ball like that. You're still 2-0. I mean, it's almost like Brady is not as invested this year, but it doesn't seem to matter.
He shouldn't have to practice on Wednesdays. Get it together, rest of his team. I mean, and it sounds dumb, but you shouldn't be able to play football at that position for 20 plus years. And because he did, get over it. Like, it's as simple as that. He's been that good for that long. Why are you wasting Wednesday bullets in that gun that only has so many rounds left? If he can just give you that for 20 more games, that's all you signed up for. There's no need for a Wednesday practice for a guy of that magnitude.
Oh, and there's talk about like, do people in the Bucs locker room care and stuff? I don't think they care as long as they're winning games. They know that they'd be a 6-win team without Brady.
Yeah, and if they do care, who cares? Why do they care? You know what I mean? Like, he's earned it. The guy's got 7.
It's kind of fun to just see Brady get whatever he wants. I mean, has anyone said no to him the entire? Well, aside from the Glazer family this summer when he asked for his release, is there any request that the Buccaneers have denied so far to Tom Brady? I mean, that's the big question. They let him bring in Antonio Brown. I mean, he's got 3 days off of games. It's incredible. I mean, the only thing he doesn't have is a stake in ownership.
Which I always thought he would have for the Patriots. I always thought that was woven in. I thought TB12 was woven into some of those pay cuts. I've always felt like that. And you should. Just like in the NBA, you kind of have to do whatever your star player wants if you want to keep them and stay good. Like the NFL and the quarterback position, it's that important. If you've got a guy, you pay him. Even if you're concerned about long-term health, even if you're concerned about, he only beats losing teams. There's a bunch of quarterbacks in the NFL that start every week that lose to bad teams consistently. So even if you only beat bad teams, that is good enough to pay. That position is so important in this league.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is. It is. It's so important that the 49ers are concerned about making sure that they keep their backup around instead of their starter. It's just
very
amazing. Like,
very good
what?
Backup. That's a very good backup they've got there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, somebody that you need when you purposely hurt your franchise quarterback, you know.
The Shanahans have a history of this. This is the great mystery in sports nobody ever talks about. They have now purposely injured two promising young scrambling quarterbacks on purpose on national television.
It's incredible, and we are all witnesses. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. You're doing designed runs on second and long. Doesn't seem like something you do for a guy that you want to keep around for a long time. But I digress. I mean, I don't know. So do you think people are going to be on the hook pretty bad for that? So, how do things shake out with like, is anybody going to lose their job over this pick? I mean, is Garoppolo going to save everyone's job out there?
Yes.
Because this is a huge thing where you could look back and you could say, all right, you are not capable of making these types of picks because instead of evaluating that we could have taken a D end, a wide receiver, somebody to advance this team further, keep Jimmy Garoppolo, you went out, we gave draft capital, we moved around. I mean, everybody knows that they're going to potentially take Mac Jones. So is this something where people's jobs are on the line?
It shouldn't be. Jimmy G is just going to wear that nice S on his chest, that handsome Aladdin-looking, perfect specimen of a man who wins 70%. Let's not forget that is the number. 70% of his NFL starts. He is the most underrated. He is the best quarterback that nobody thinks is good that I've ever seen in all of my years. If we start listing quarterbacks in the NFL, we're going to get 18 guys before Jimmy. But none of those guys have a better career resume than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's why I said keep him, and it's why that decision is looking gangbusters now.
How many quarterbacks would have a 70% winning percentage, though, if they were on that team?
I don't know. I just know his coach doesn't have anywhere near the winning percentage without him. You got to play the games that are played. You got to evaluate what has happened. I can talk about hyperbole with you all day, friend. But what I know, what is tangibly on the record, the scoreboard says that Shanahan is under 500 without Jimmy, and that with Jimmy, he's winning 70% of his games. That's all we do know.
I just hate that you always have this to land on. I know it's not a solid place for you to land, but you can just use it. So, no, I mean, I feel like you've never started a good quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo's place to even know if somebody could carve out those wins. I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of guys that if you scheme up an offense for them, you give them a good defense, a good running game, and basically take the ball out of their hands during the crucial moments, who's not going to win some of those games? I mean, I go back to a few years ago that when they made that first Super Bowl run, they were taking the ball out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hands and running the ball on every down when they were down to Green Bay instead of letting him throw the ball. Is that a quarterback you feel confident with?
One could argue that the level of ego management it takes to let the play caller take the ball out of your hands for the
God
and appreciated in a future stud like Jimmy Garoppolo.
So he's a saint as well now. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, he is. Waited behind Tom like a good boy, got traded under value, and all he's done since then is win. All he does is win, baby.
Why is Jimmy Garoppolo so likable to his teammates? I mean, he misses a lot of games. You can't really count on him. I don't understand why guys love him.
It is
like hold on, one more thing. When so many guys with the Patriots hated him, like you listen to these guys that played with him, and they're straight up like calling him a bitch. Who is it? Martellus Bennett, straight up like called him a bitch for missing some of those games.
Let's take what the Bennetts say with a grain of salt. Okay, let's not.
He was not well liked when he sat out for that shoulder injury when Brady was hurt. People did not respect that move.
They absolutely looked at him sideways for that. But I'll remind you, he won here and he looked very good. He looked better here in that one start that he's ever looked in San Francisco. But the result was the same. He won. And the reason, and it's quarterback syndrome, right? Like even in fourth grade, when you go to the playground, the most attractive kid is usually quarterback. This guy has been handsome, rugged, and a winning quarterback since where did he go to school? Eastern Illinois, wherever he came from. He has been amazing.
Yeah, I hate
I'm
the
sorry.
fact that he's handsome keeps coming up as an attribute that you're using to evaluate. You know, I don't know how many other quarterbacks you're going to give a crap about their looks. Is it just Jimmy Garoppolo does it for you that well?
Well, look, man, if all you do is win and you look like Aladdin, I just think you are marketable and we should build the franchise around you. We've already gotten to a Super Bowl with you. There was no need
Blaine
to reinvent
Gabbert's Blaine Gabbert's a pretty good looker. You don't want to sing for him?
Blaine Gabbert didn't win.
Yeah, he didn't play on the 49ers, who are going to take away anytime he needs to throw it in a clutch spot and stop the other team.
Listen, I don't know if Tyler Payton could have had the ball taken from them. Jimmy G is an egoless, magical quarterback that you don't respect to the level that you should.
Well, let's talk about another less magical quarterback, another quarterback in the AFC that's better than Mac Jones. That's Joe Flacco, who led the Jets to a come-from-behind victory, a victory that Nick Chubb is having to apologize for today because he scored a touchdown to put them up by 14 with 2 minutes left. I mean, I just think if you're trying to have the foresight to not score a touchdown that puts you up by 14 with 2 minutes left, what are we even doing here? So that's a whole different story. But the Jets coming back against the Browns game, that was like their Super Bowl. I mean, you listen to any of the live reads or, what was going on. I mean, it's almost embarrassing the way that people were celebrating for that game. But good for the Jets. They get a win and an incredible comeback against the Browns. Do you think that the Jets are putting together anything here? I mean, Saleh says that he's keeping receipts. I think if the Jets even can have decent progress with Zach Wilson this year or something like that, that's a step in the right direction. Do you think the Jets are starting to put together anything that you'll respect by the end of this year?
Well, context is everything, and I think that they'll be better than the Patriots. I just don't think that they'll be good. And this win was about as good as it's going to get for them. A 30-31 come from behind victory on the shoulders of chuck it up Joe Flacco. I mean, this is amazing. But
I'm pretty sure Jacoby Brissett made a mistake at the end of that game too. I mean, didn't he throw up a bad pick or something?
You should never apologize for scoring a touchdown. I mean, and here's the other thing. There's tons of come from behind victories, but outside of the Cardinals, where Kyler Murray just did amazing things, a lot of it was inexplicably bad defense and miscommunication. Just a lot of finger pointing and blown coverage assignments and guys running wide open. I mean, there was a lot of wide open guys in these come from behind victories. That's what was disappointing.
Have you ever seen somebody evade a rush longer than Kyler Murray did? I mean, that reminded me of like NFL blitz sometimes when you go all the way back to the end of the field and you've got like 8 seconds to throw. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody have that much time, create that much time with his legs. They come back and then score that touchdown. It's basically like everybody else was gassed from him just running around in circles.
It was impressive. And again, when he's that size, he better continue to never get hit. Because you want to run around for 90 yards just to get 7. If you ever get cracked, that's not going to go well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is impressive to run all those yards to just get 7. I mean, how do you hop back in the huddle after that? Or, say you get...
He's little. Because he's little. He's not running with that much weight on him. That's what it is.
So, yeah, the Giants are 2-0. The Jaguars get a 24-0 victory out of the Colts. I mean, the Colts look like frauds so far. You figured if they could have put in... And why do they keep doing this? They keep getting the same quarterback every year. It's Phillip Rivers. It's, Carson Wentz. It's Matt Ryan. It's like they keep putting the same quarterback in there. I mean, they should have been a player for Jimmy Garoppolo. But I just think all they needed to do was put a semi-decent quarterback in there. They could have leaned on their defense and run game. But, I mean, just can you stop getting these, like, 38-year-old quarterbacks that can't throw anymore, or?
Well, I mean, I like the Colts. I like Pittman. I don't know why Matt Ryan isn't good, but I think Philip Rivers was the right decision. I was not enamored with Wentz. I thought it was going to work.
Rivers over Brady?
I just don't think Brady was going to go there.
Well, to just give up completely on it is a different. I mean, they didn't even try, I don't think. But sure.
Well, we don't know that they didn't try.
I'm pretty sure they didn't try. I'm pretty sure they just.
Nope. We don't know that. You don't know what goes on in NFL circles. I assume everything has at least had conversations happen.
I don't know. I think the only teams that offered were the Chargers and the Bucs. I'm pretty sure.
And the Raiders before Gruden decided to ruin it.
Yeah, you made the right choice there, Derek Carr.
Listen, I like Carr, but he has had the Raiders have been very disappointing. So I mean, the Broncos have been disappointing. Russ has been disappointing, but the Raiders have been awfully disappointing.
I still think the Raiders are going to be okay, though. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it, you're looking at 2 games you could have had. That's going to bite you, but I still think they're in an okay position. I mean, it's going to take you some time to get the chemistry going with some new receivers, and yeah, I think their offense is so high flying. I think they're going to figure it out.
It's supposed to be high flying. It's kind of been high flying. It's supposed to be high flying. We assume it'll be high flying. It's not really been high flying yet. And what I think needs to happen is they need to not run it like Green Bay did, because Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr are dramatically different quarterbacks. I'd like to see them establish the run. Their offensive line isn't nearly as good as they think it is, but they have a great running back in addition to the perimeter threats. I'd like to see them establish the run, work some play action off of that, establish Hunter Renfrow on 3rd and short as a slot guy, and then take the top off with Devontae, and then end up in situations where the offensive linemen on that team are not constantly on their heels. I think it's been a bad scheme from McDaniels early on in this season.
Yeah, and I think that last year Derek Carr did a much better job of distributing the ball. I feel like for me in game 1, it was like I have a shiny new toy, and let me just try. Like it wasn't throw to the open guy. It was like Devontae. I mean, we haven't really seen Carr focusing on one guy like he did. And I could understand that. You get a Randy Moss or you get somebody like that. It's like, holy crap, I haven't been able to do this with some of the guys that I have, but I just feel like things will come to them more naturally, I think. I mean, I think that offense is going to score points. I don't really see how it doesn't, but obviously that still remains to be seen. They haven't had a good first couple games, but yeah, I mean, that game was a huge kick in the pants. How do you,
It's almost no surprise that they've blown some of these games. Like none of these.
I want McDaniels to get off to a good start. I don't want to see him have 2 horrendous. I mean, imagine if he gets blown out of there too.
I mean, would it surprise you?
It would not surprise me. I think that he will be a lot smarter this time around, but if he wasn't, it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't think he will. I don't think he'll get blown out of there. Is like what my gut says.
I think Carr is good enough because you need the quarterback.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick without the quarterback are not the same guys. John Harbaugh was on the verge of getting fired before Lamar Jackson. Like, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to last no matter what.
I think McDaniels used to kind of think differently. I think he would maybe be more inclined to strong arm you on something. Feel like now the decision making is a lot more shared and he's getting everyone's thoughts into it. So I don't think he's going to go as rogue as he did before. If that makes any sense. I feel like he's keeping himself in check more with the network that he's brought in there. He's tied in with Dave Ziegler. What's that?
I said, well, Bill let him take everybody. Let him take the entire offensive staff.
Well, he did, yeah. Well, when you get to bring in your buddies, the freaking Three stooges over there. When you get to bring in Patricia and Judge, yeah, sure. Yeah, take whoever you want. Just take everyone out of here so I can hire whoever. I mean, when does that happen? When does that happen that you just willy-nilly let somebody leave and take all the personnel with them? I mean,
it doesn't happen in sports. The nepotism thing happens in the business world all the time, and it happens at the front office level of sports, but you almost never see it on the field. But like ever since Malcolm Butler got benched, it's very apparent that the nepotism runs deep in this Patriots organization, and that these kids and this coach has way too much say at this point.
Well, before we turn the page to next week, let's talk about the Bills have just absolutely been murdering. It feels like they haven't even hit their stride in the first two games, and they're obliterating teams. One of the things that I thought was hilarious is they had their first punt of the year, and the punt got fumbled, and they scored a touchdown. So it's like, the Titans are so not ready for a punt. Like a punt is the most confusing thing you can do at the Bill. There's no tape on them of them punting. So you make a mistake even when the Bills punt. They are just a cut above everybody else right now, and they're playing really well. It looks like Von Miller has a lot more than I would have thought left. Josh Allen, it pains me to say it, but he looks really good. I was so strong against him not being good years ago, so it hurts me to say, but they are just incredible. And Diggs, you just can't do anything to stop him. That's what happens when you get a good receiver. But yeah, the Bills, Frank, they look like they're on the path to the Super Bowl.
I always like to reference Vegas because, they're not building smaller casinos. They're not building less casinos. They usually know what they're talking about. And I thought to get 3.5 points on the road against the defending Super Bowl champions was a very weird line. And then they poleaxed the Rams. And yesterday wasn't even close. The Bills are special. The Bills right now look special. My one concern for them would be, are they going to peak too early? They look right now like a team that's unstoppable. That usually doesn't last forever. So, is that going to last 16 games plus the playoffs? I doubt it. It looks like they're probably peaking too early. It looks too easy for them right now. You're going to need to punt. You're not going to get it fumbled right back to you. I don't know what Kyle Phillips was doing. He also could have let that go. There was really no need for that. Once he came screaming forward, he should have adhered to the Peter rule. Just call Peter and let that go. There's no reason for that to bounce off you or any other teammate.
Yeah, you saw the stat on Diggs, 12 catches, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. The rest of the receivers for Tennessee had 12 for the entire amount of Tennessee had 12 catches for 107 yards, 0 touchdowns.
I want to be clear about this because Treylon Burks did look like he's starting to get up to NFL speed, and I do like him as a prospect, but it really looks like Tennessee needs a playmaker. And I find that to be slightly ironic because it looks like the Eagles found a playmaker, and how dumb are you? Because Treylon Burks, I think, will be good, but he will not be A.J. Brown. And you know what the Tennessee Titans look like they need right now? An A.J. Brown-type playmaker. The Eagles have it, you don't.
How do you let go of A.J. Brown? That still mystifies me. It's like, how could you, even if you're rebuild? So is the thought there that they're, rebuilding? But it's like, how could you not need a 25-year-old 6'2" stud of a receiver in this NFL? The Seahawks, who are completely tanking, signed a guy for $77 million over the next 3 years. That's not even as good. It's like, even if you're tanking, you'd want to keep a guy like AJ Brown.
The AJ Brown, yeah, I don't. And again, Treylon Burks will be good. He just won't be that good.
Yeah.
And Malik Willis, and I get it was garbage time, did not look great.
I don't think great things from Malik Willis in the NFL.
I fear for the Titans' future.
The thing is I love I do love Vrabel, but I do just wonder. I think I think it's like the GM that's making the decision. I know that Vrabel was pissed when they got rid of AJ Brown, so I don't know what's going on there. And And would he have wanted to draft Malik Willis? I just wonder, maybe he just doesn't have the amount of say that he wants to have as far as personnel.
Look, you squeezed all the juice out of that orange. There's nothing more you can get from Tannehill. But I mean, and again, you said the Colts, that's a team that should have been on Jimmy G. You may not like him, and he may be incredibly underrated at this point, but all teams should be in on Jimmy G if they've got a roster that can win. The Titans look a hell of a lot better with Jimmy G than they do Ryan Tannehill. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, did we think Ryan Tannehill was this bad already? I mean, maybe I thought last year was an off year, and I certainly wasn't going to touch him myself because he was my quarterback last year. I would have just not taken a quarterback versus had him play again. But, man, I mean, that's pretty much as bad of a start as you're going to see from a quarterback, really.
He put up legitimately elite quarterback numbers for 16 straight NFL starts. And since then, he's pretty much fallen back to what we know he is, a marginal NFL starting quarterback. That is what it is. They didn't overpay him. They're going to be without him. But he's just not that good. And Derrick Henry's getting older, and you got rid of the guy. And again, think about this. Derrick Henry looks, not normal. I mean, he had a good week 1, and he was running hard yesterday. There was just nowhere to run to. But the Eagles are number 1 in rushing this year. And you can see the attention getting paid to A.J. Brown. Week 1, they don't double him. He goes nutty. Week 2, all the focus is on him. From jump, they just start throwing to Devontae Smith. The guy's wide open. They're running lanes you could drive a small truck through. And it's because of all the attention that an elite number 1 can do for you. As long as, if you have a number 1 and you don't overly rely on them, you're not forcing it to them, a la Derek Carr and Devontae Adams right now. If you just let it play out organically, it will open up your entire offense.
Yep. That is true.
Tua had Waddle and he looked good, but now he's got Hill and he looks like an MVP. Like, having a playmaker that you can throw it horizontally to and they can take it 70 yards to the house makes you look so much better.
I mean, that game was just nuts. It's like, that Tua is throwing it to Tyreek Hill every time or Jalen Waddle, and you still can't do anything about it. I mean, Tyreek Hill, for my money, has been better than I thought it's amazing. Like, you didn't even think Tua was a good quarterback. It's like, all you got to do is just give it to Hill. I mean, one of those deep balls was so underthrown. It's like Hill had to come back a little bit and catch it and still take it. He's still 6 yards past the DB. It's amazing.
Tyreek Hill is what I imagine Chris Johnson would have been as a wide receiver. Tyreek Hill has played with Patrick Mahomes and was consistently, I shouldn't say consistently, but regularly underthrown because he's just that fast and that good. Even in the Super Bowl, and I always reference this, that third down play, it looked like a punt. It looked like a fair catch. He had beaten the defense by so much that even that underthrown ball, he had time to run backwards, get under it, and catch it with very little opposition. It's amazing how he plays. And right now, the Bills-Dolphins next week, and they have the top 3 receivers in the NFL right now. It's Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Waddle. So even if Tua's bad, they've done everything they can to give him weapons to be good. And it's working. Yeah. I did not have them at 2-0. Their coach sounds like a Poindexter. Oh my God, their coach sounds so bad at press conferences, but clearly what he's doing is working. They got rid of another very good coach in Brian Flores. So clearly they really like this guy, and I'm excited for the Dolphins. And somebody's got to beat the Bills, so I'm really hoping that they can surprise me.
Oh, man, that would be awesome if Tua beat the Bills. The Bills are like, we finally made it. And then you got Tua. I mean, so is Tua going to prove his value this year with Miami?
I don't know what you mean by proving his value.
Do you think Tua will be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins next year?
Yes.
So they're sold on him. I mean, overall, do you like a lefty quarterback?
Love him. I'm a lefty, though.
I'm a lefty, too.
Everything looks better left-handed. James Harden looks really cool. Everything looks better left-handed.
It is a easier ball to pick. I mean, typically though, it's a longer.
I don't care. If you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you should be fine. I just think that they've got a stable of bad running backs, and it would benefit them to get one legitimate guy in there.
Is Chase Edmonds bad?
I don't think any of them are bad. I don't think Edmonds is bad. I don't think Mostert's bad. I don't think any of them are like good. And even though you can play that position by committee, I think they must be in a win now position because they're eventually going to need to either pay Tua or bring in a quarterback off the free agent market. And at that point, money's going to start running tight. As soon as you pay your quarterback, everything gets a lot harder to do. And if you're the Dolphins, you've got to put it together right now. Right now is where it is. Jalen Phillips is not quite as good as you thought he'd be, but he's probably still one of your best defensive players. You've got enough there on defense. You've got enough there on offense. You've got to be in win now position.
God, I mean, they could never pay Tua. I mean, what is Tua going to make if he were to ever get paid? You paid Ryan Tannehill $32 million a year. I mean,
yeah, $40 million is going to be that number for bad quarterbacks. Like Tua's going to get that.
Yeah. I mean, that game was nuts to see. Like, you just know that he's NFL throwing into Tyreek Hill, and you can't do anything about it.
The NFL gods have gifted us 2 really good weeks of football. Some interesting storylines. It's been very, very exciting.
Yep. You had the Mike Evans fight. I love to see people.
I'm so sick of seeing Mike Evans jump off the top rope and try to hurt other NFL players. Like, you're 6'5", you're 220. You should be big enough to just stand in there. You want to have a boxing match? You want to do the Cortland Finnegan, Andre Johnson thing? Do that. But the getting a running head start and shoulder blocking and hitting from behind and you have to miss me with that Mike Evans stuff. I think he's come off real bad every time he's had a physical altercation. Whether he's defending Jameis or Tom, he turns into a WWE superstar. And for the record, I piled on Gronk when he injured Tre'Davious White. I'm not a fan of NFL players attacking other NFL players. You want to fight? I'm totally for it. You guys want to throw hands? That's fine. This whole charging up as a big man against the guy who doesn't see it coming is cowardly.
Excuse me. I agree with that. The cowardly part. Like, yeah, if you want to square up, that's fine. Who was the cornerback that he kind of blindsided? What was it? Lattimore?
Yeah, it was Lattimore.
I mean, he didn't see that coming at all. I mean, that is so. I mean, you could be 3 feet tall and knock someone out who's 6 feet if they can't even stay. I mean, it shows no skill whatsoever to do any damage to somebody on a blind side. So I agree with you. When you're 6'5", I mean, just go get in a fight with the guy. But I would like to see more. I'd like to see more fights, just not blindly. It was cool to see. It was cool to see them mixing up. I mean, what was Bruce Arians doing there? Like, that was my this guy's an advisor, a consultant now. What are they consulting him to talk shit to the players when he comes down to? I mean, he was like John was somebody.
You could tell that he was talking trash because he says something and then Lattimore turns around and starts talking to Bruce Arians. So you could tell he's being an instigator. If you're in a front office position, an executive position, and you are being an antagonist, you need to be suspended or fined. And I don't think he will be. I do believe that is a proper course of action because you just can't allow. You can't allow that.
Very unprofessional. I think that's why Tom Brady broke the tablet, is because he saw Bruce Arians down on the sideline. Said, "I thought I fired that guy."
Brady has yelled at. That's hilarious. Brady yelled at Weiss. Brady yelled at Bill O'Brien. Brady yelled at Josh McDaniels. Brady has forever thrown tablets and yelled at people and gets rewarded for it, gets praised for it. But everybody hates the other verbal quarterbacks. Everybody hated when T.O. blew up on the sideline. Because Tom wins, he gets away with things that other players surely do not.
Remember when who is it? The receiver for OBJ, he made like a video kind of comparing him and Tom Brady, like his flip outs and Tom Brady's, and like how, everyone kind of praised Brady. But it was so true. It's like, people give Odell Beckham such crap. Excuse me, before his, before he kind of like made up his reputation with the Rams, people give him a ton of crap for like, doing all kinds of different stuff. And Tom Brady does the same exact stuff. And it's like, yeah, he's a winner. He cares. Like, and you look at OBJ and you're like, he's a thug and like, he doesn't care. And like, it's just amazing. Like the compare contrast, like Brady can truly do no wrong. It's like anything he does, somebody puts a marketing spin on it of like why it's good.
Fair, though, that's what winning is. Michael Jordan is well documented for being an awful person and a bad teammate, but he just kept winning, so he's a media darling. The only person who didn't get that type of treatment was Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was such a piece of garbage that even the media was like, you know what? I hate you anyway. You're going to get walked with the bases loaded, but we still can't stand you.
Why did they hate him so much? Like, what did he specifically?
He's a jerk, and he's a liar, and he's an egomaniac.
Yeah. I just feel like, doesn't that describe so many guys? I mean, isn't Alex Rodriguez all of those things? He's liked way more than Bonds.
Yes, but A-Rod has what, like 5 less MVPs? I mean, Barry Bonds was like that dude. And for the record, if
that's what I'm saying, like A-Rod was a huge D-bag, plus he wasn't half the player that Bonds was.
It makes his redemption story so much easier. It makes him easier to like at the end of his career. Barry Bonds was so good, and he still only won. Like, doesn't he have 1 World Series? He should have 4. Like, Barry Bonds should have 4 or 5 World Series. I don't know how we got on the tangent. I apologize. But if he had won 4 or 5, the media would have turned back to the other side.
Wait, I don't think Bonds won a title.
He never won even 03? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I don't think he won.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Which is even more of an indictment. If he had him, the media would have been forced to like grin and bear it. That's why they still hate him, because he never quite. He should have
7 MVPs. 7 MVPs isn't enough. Should have had 8.
Well, that's like Shaq. Shaq probably should have won like 5 straight MVPs, but you can't give it to him every year for just being bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jordan could have won MVP every single year. Same thing with LeBron. They gave it to
Carmelo for no reason. They gave it to Carmelo for no reason whatsoever. Barkley deserved his. Carmelo did not need that MVP.
Certainly the year that Derrick Rose winning MVP over LeBron, that was an effing joke.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you there. I'm going to disagree with you wholeheartedly. Derrick Rose was so much better than Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook deserved his MVP. Derrick Rose was on the way up, and he brought a team that without him was not going to be a playoff team. Like, that Bulls team was a legitimate threat and title contender with just him. Do not tell me that Tom Thibodeau and that try-hard, can-do attitude of Taj Gibson and Kyle Korver is going to get them there. Like, Jimmy Butler was a simp back then. This was not a roster that was... It's a roster that looks good when we look back on it because of the best parts of all of those players, but none of that drink got stirred without Derrick Rose.
I don't know. I was rip shit that year.
That's because you're a LeBron honk. That was Derrick Rose's MVP. He deserved that.
Yeah. Do we have a this day in sports?
No, and here's why. And it's because I wanted to kind of bring up what an amazing time and transition period this is going to be in sports the next, call it 18 months. When you start looking at LeBron's career winding down, Serena Williams and Roger Federer both retire, I think this is an amazing time. Or Albert Pujols is about to hit 700 home runs and walk off into the sunset. This is just a different time in sports. And I just kind of wanted to appreciate the era that we're in, the era of the super athlete and the skill positions. The NBA is a skill contest. The NFL is a skill contest. The NHL, still physical as it is, has the Connor McDavids of the world. Zdeno Chara just retired, signed a one-day contract with the Bruins. I just think that we are very, very fortunate as sports fans to be in this era, to have Shohei Ohtani, to have John Morant, to have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, just these new era guys, Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert. It's amazing that we're going to see the end of LeBron, the end of Tom, the end of Serena, the end of Federer, all within probably a 2-year span. And we should appreciate them winding down, but also all these sports are in very good hands. And that's kind of my this day in sports. I didn't want to bring up anything innocuous. I just think this is an amazing time to be a sports fan.
Yeah, no, and I mean Pujols, you got to think he's going to be if he does, it'll be the 4th guy to hit 700 home runs. I mean, we may not see 700 home runs. I mean, we'll probably see, but we could not see 700 home runs. I mean, there's been 3 guys that have ever done it. So
I think the real
700 is a monster number in MLB.
Do you see Shohei Ohtani winning 150 games and hitting 300 home runs?
I wonder about his durability. I'm not taking anything away from his talent. I think he will be that good. I wonder about can he stay healthy? I mean, he's probably on a pace to do something like that. I just wonder, can he stay healthy?
He's the best thing going in that sport. And I can't believe that he's going to have all the endorsements in the world. If I'm the Red Sox, I'm paying $500 million, maybe more, maybe $750 million to Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Judge just keeps blasting. It's crazy because I think he's only 2 homers away from it's funny, all these guys who hit all these home runs, closer to the record, they're all in the NL. The 61 is, I think, the record for the AL, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, he may end up with the AL record.
I mean, I want somebody to hit 74 home runs. I'm not a fan of these sitting on your high horse type record holders. The record is 73. And while this is the most home runs we've seen in a while, and it's super impressive, and a lot of these are moonshots, and he's a big marketable player playing for the most marketable baseball team, I'm not that impressed. I want that man who, by the way, let's not forget, is about 6'8", 260. I want this man to hit 80 home runs. I want him to hit 25 more home runs next year, and then I will start to be impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I want Jimmy Garoppolo to throw another 20 touchdowns this season before I'm impressed with him. How's that?
Has Aaron Judge been to a World Series?
Has Aaron Judge been to a World Series? No, I don't think so. Has he?
So let's not put him in the same breath as Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh,
so let's not put him in the same category.
Is Jimmy Garoppolo a better football player than Aaron Judge's baseball player? Is that where we're
All I know is Aaron Judge doesn't win 70% of his games or homer in 70% of his at-bats. All I know is Jimmy G is a winner. And Aaron Judge has been on some disappointing come up short in 1-game playoff Yankee teams. So let's let him get to Jimmy G's level, please.
Yes, I know. God, I'm going to pay for that, bringing them up, I mean.
Yeah, Aaron Judge, his arms are too short to hotbox with the god that is Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, it's all about who's more handsome, though. I know for you, handsome is a big factor in the.
Handsome and winning, I'm willing to put up with a lot. Handsome and winning is a great deodorant. No matter what is going wrong in your organization, if the face of your franchise is a pretty face and that pretty face also wins, you're going to have a lot of leeway with your fan base and with your sponsors. I'll bet you.
Well, we appreciate every one of our fans for giving us a little bit of leeway as well. And, for tuning in this week. Big week 3 here. Hopefully we keep things rolling with as much drama. I mean, it's been every year you forget how good the NFL is. And every year when it starts, you just remember why. So hopefully it's just as good next week. We will see you all then. Same time, same place. Take care.